Well, it's an honor for me to have this conversation with Joseph Lindsley. Tell me about Zelenskyy's visit to the United States. How was that viewed in Ukraine?
One friend said, "This is the way of our survival."
Well, it's an honor for me to have this conversation with Joseph Lindsley, editor, Ukrainian Freedom News, and founder of Lviv Lab for Activation of Democracy. How you doing, Joseph?
Steve, Merry Christmas to you. Hello from Lviv in Western Ukraine, and I'm good now. We had several hours of an air alarm today, but nothing happened from the sky. Usually when these alarms happen, it means there's Russian aircraft activity. Over Christmas weekend, there was a mysterious event that happened at the Ingalls Air Force Base, 370 miles deep into Russia from the Ukrainian border. There was a drone that hit the base. From Ingalls is one of the main places from which the Russians have been attacking Ukraine. So whatever happened there, and there are scattered reports. There could be different intelligence operatives under deep cover working to sabotage the Russian bases. But it seems that perhaps Russia had to move some of their jets to other bases. But anytime Russian aircraft are flying around in the current reality we have, the whole country goes into air alarm. On Christmas Eve, on Saturday, in the recently liberated city of Kherson, there was a Russian attack, and horrible. Civilians were killed in the street. So while generally the skies have been peaceful, we still have had some carnage, and the fighting continues at the front lines, especially in that city of Bakhmut.
Did I hear you right to say there was an attack in Russia within their geography, within the confines of their border? And if so, it was or was not Ukraine who attacked?
It's ambiguous as to what exactly happened. This has been happening a few times recently. The Ingalls Air Force Base, named after a communist hero in Russia, is one of the main places where their bombers are housed. And there was a drone strike. You can see videos of it. And some reports indicate that a lot of the infrastructure there was taken out. We can't really confirm that. But yes, deep into Russian territory. So this is, potentially a very good sign. And because there has been a feeling for weeks that Russia is preparing its next major attack. Some are saying that these drone strikes, whatever they might be, on Russian air bases, not just Ingalls, but a couple others, are slowing down Russia's ability to hit Ukraine. So we watch it very carefully. There's still a lot we don't know about it.
By weaponizing winter, which is, of course, what Russia has done, and that term has been used a lot, what is the feeling of people in Ukraine? Are they getting to the point where really, if you go without heat and you're in the dark constantly, and it's as cold there as it is, and incidentally, I want to know how cold it is there, are people finally losing their spirit or not?
Well, first, fortunately, we have a little stretch of relatively balmy weather. It's in the 40s now, or high 30s, but usually it's quite cold, and we can expect it to get colder, kind of similar to what you're experiencing there. But, it's difficult. So this is Christmas season now. Most Ukrainians will celebrate Christmas officially starting January 7th. But over this past weekend, many people took the opportunity to celebrate Western Christmas. And I think it's for that very reason, to keep the spirits boosted. And so I went to various dinners and houses over the weekend to talk with friends, including a gathering of soldiers. And we were sharing our conversations and struggles. One friend said, "This is the way of our survival, staying together, talking with each other about, all the challenges we face." I went to yesterday, there was a poetry reading with soldiers and musicians and all kinds of people gathered together with tears and laughter to share what they're going through in this time. And that's how people stay strong and give each other energy. I went last evening to there's a cafe sort of in Lviv's creative quarter. It's called Armenian Street, Arminska Street, the Cafe Fonseca. And I was speaking with people, and everyone has this heaviness and a weariness. And, it's not easy. It's very difficult, and we're facing this long winter ahead. And then 3 kids came in about 10 o'clock at night, right before everything was closing for curfew. And the three kids came in and they started to sing a Christmas carol. And even in their voices, they sounded tired. Because I've been in Ukraine for Christmas before, and you can hear the tiredness. But the kids sang, "Good evening to you, rejoice. Oh, rejoice, earth. The Son of God was born. Cover the tables and everything with carpets. Rejoice, because 3 holidays will come to visit you. Rejoice." And people sang. You could see the smile sort of coming to people's faces as they sang with these three kids, and they gave them money. But in that moment, you can see sort of the nexus of tiredness and weariness, but also that will and that the joy for life and that deep will to keep living and never to quit.
Tell me about Zelenskyy's visit to the United States. How was that viewed in Ukraine?
Very positively. I think it was seen that he really represents all of the people here. And I think, sometimes in some of the criticism I see in America, obviously, everything's expensive. And, the people who were saying that Zelenskiy was asking for money and for support, but really it's the Ukrainian people. And Zelenskiy serves at the pleasure of the people. Ukraine is a fiercely democratic country. And so I think as I watched it, I thought, compared to when Winston Churchill, 81 years ago from yesterday, spoke in the same place, there were so many strong parallels between those speeches by two leaders of nations that were facing existential threats. And Zelenskiy also very well said, this is not just a threat for Ukraine, but for the stability and freedom of the whole world. And I think he made that case very clearly. And people here were, all of these things give people additional energy to keep going. And so, and everyone has their part to play. And that's why before Zelenskiy went to Washington, he went to that city of Bakhmut. And that's what some of the most intense fighting, in human history is happening. And he went there first. I think so. He wouldn't forget that as he was speaking to Washington. And by the way, I just saw footage of Bakhmut. I was in that city in June. It's unrecognizable. It's just smoldering ruins from one of our reporters. And there was one little shop that was still open with volunteers, and they were serving people, food and hot drinks. And they somehow set up a Christmas tree as you can hear the shelling happening all around, and you see the smoldering buildings. It really is a nightmare there.
Yeah, this whole thing is a nightmare, but it's important that people like you communicate everything that is happening. So I'm so grateful for that. And, in America, as you know, I could be talking to someone in Chicago, and it's an expression where you say at the end of a phone call, stay safe. But for you, it has an altogether different meaning. So stay safe, Joseph Lindsley. Thank you so much for again checking in.
Thank you, Steve. And I think we'll add to stay safe because, you got to keep positive, but stay free, too. Stay free and happy and safe.
Joseph Lindsley, world's most interesting man.
This I find in my garden. It's peace from rocket.
Help us to win in this war.